Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Spokane City Council Advanced Briefing meeting for July 26th. Ms. Pfister, would you like to call the roll?
Council President Biggs.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Mumm.
Here.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Present.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
Welcome, everybody. And we were going to first welcome back Mr. Ormsby and take it away for the August 2nd briefing.
Thank you, Council President and members of the Council. For next week on the consent agenda, we have a recommended low bid award for signals on Green Street, and Dan Bowler from the Engineering Department is here to present this item.
Good afternoon. Item 1 is the proposed low bid contract for the Green Intermina signal change with Coldeco of Spokane, Washington for $90,134, to which we propose to set aside a 10% administrative reserve. This project moves a signal that will be too close to the future elevated portion of the north-south freeway adjacent to Spokane Community College. The low bid from Coldeco was approximately $32,000, or about 55% over the engineer's estimate. No other bids were received. We believe the high bids were due to a combination of factors, including the fact that employers are having a hard time finding employees nationwide. A lot of work out there, some of which is delayed work from last summer, and that's evidenced by there being only one bidder. And bidding in the middle of summer, a schedule that was dictated by DOT. And DOT is funding this project, by the way, and they've approved this cost overage.
Any questions for Dan? Thank you, Dan. Next, we have a proposed contract renewal for root control, and Raylene Jeanette is here to present this item.
Thank you, council members. This is a renewal with Duke's root control for 2 years. It's not to exceed $50,000 annually, and this was a 5-year contract, and this will be the last 2. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Raylene. The next item is a proposed contract for landscape improvements at the Intermodal Complex, and Jeff Teal from Facilities Management is here to present this item.
Good afternoon, council members. This is for the SEPTED project in the corner of Brown and Sprague Street. This project consists of taking out the retaining walls and leveling or grading the ground down to street level, raising the limbs on the trees, removing any of the large boulders that people can actually be behind, adding 3-inch balls into this space.
Okay. Councilmember Kinnear, and then we're going to have a program update in a minute. Go ahead, Councilmember Kinnear.
I just want to thank you for doing this. Council President and I met with Lutheran Community Services, I think it was 2 years ago, right, Brian? Because of their concern around the intermodal and what was happening at that corner. They have clients that wait at that bus stop. So making this area safer and less likely to hide people that would be doing harm to already people who are vulnerable and victims is huge. So thank you so much for this.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, we need to take
Thank you, Jeff.
Mike, we need to take a quick technical break. Our phone call-in is defective, and it's making it difficult for people to hear everybody. So we're going to have to reset our phone connection with the studio. So if everyone can just stay on, I'll let you know when we're ready to go again. All right, we're apparently back. Mr. Ormsby, continue.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. The next two items relate to the purchase of equipment for the parking system, and Chris Becker is here to present these two items.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. We have two contracts. The first one is with K Meters, and it's for single and dual space parking meters for a total of $664,000. The second contract is with Calais, and that is for parking kiosks, and that contract is for $2.932 million. The combination of the two will be used to replace all of our paid parking equipment in the downtown.
Councilmember Mumm.
Yeah, I just wanted to check back. Thank you for the email you sent today. Is this consistent with the recommendations that were made from the parking study in terms of how we roll it out and how many we do and where?
Yes. So the parking study did recommend that we replace all of the equipment. They actually anticipated we would use meters for everything. But this is consistent with the recommendations from Dixon Resources Unlimited, who is our parking consultant, who has been looking at everything in great detail over the last year.
Thank you.
I still have serious concerns because Dixon said many different things in the presentations of how much better kiosks were, both for labor costs and efficiency. And they pointed us to other cities to check with them. When we checked with those other cities, they're all moving away from meters to kiosks. In fact, they have meters cheap that we could buy for a good deal. And so I'm still concerned about this. And so I'm not, I'll have to talk to my other council members. But the last that I heard was that we were going to think about doing kiosks on block faces with 8 meters or more. And then I heard from staff that, well, that might be disruptive. We should be uniform on that. This particular plan would put only kiosks in the downtown core. And again, it takes more money and it's old technology compared to the kiosks. And I just think when my time on the Parking Advisory Committee was full speed ahead on the latest, best attainable technology. So I'm registering that, but we'll talk with people over the next week. Councilmember Kinnear.
Chris, would you tell the group what you discussed with Councilmember Stratton and I last week, I think, and regarding costs, regarding timing, and what the additional work for staff would be with both of those kiosks and meters?
And Chris, can you also add the discussion we had about comments we've heard about convenience and with residents from all walks of life and especially age groups?
Absolutely.
Include that.
For sure. So what we discovered last week was that our kiosk vendor, we were not going to be able to get any kiosks until the first quarter of 2022. So from a timing perspective, our current contract for support with our Duncan smart meters expires in December, and so we need to have all of those 717 smart meters replaced by the time that contract expires. We have confirmed with McKay that the single and dual space meters are available and can be here and rolled out prior to that date. So that's one aspect of this decision that's kind of driving us towards using both types of equipment. The second one is this utilizing the single and dual space meters in the downtown and kiosks everywhere else versus using kiosks everywhere saves about $1 million. So when I presented to Urban Experience, I gave 4 different scenarios. One was all kiosks and the other 3 were a mixture of kiosks and meters. There was, between between 3.5 or 3.6 and $4.6 million was the cost of all of those. So this is actually the least expensive of all of those scenarios. And a lot of thought really went into the recommendation that came from staff and came from Dixon. And there's a lot of factors that play into it, and really trying to utilize all the good features of meters and the good features of kiosks in the place that makes the most sense. In the downtown, at our highest turnover spaces are those 2-hour meters, and right around in that retail core, we have the highest use. And so utilizing the kiosks in those other areas where we have 4-hour meters or all-day meters, our customers aren't going to be as inconvenienced to walk half a block to pay for their meter if they're going to stay there for 4 or more hours. Whereas in the downtown, where you're staying maybe 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, there's going to be a lot more people who are having to walk farther to pay at the kiosk.
And Councilmember Mumm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something to take into consideration if there's data that shows that, that there's less use. But I also really want to know what the labor costs are for use of meters. And we've got to look at this as a business and a business plan. And I'm still kind of hoping we can get to that. This is a multi-million-dollar decision, and it also commits us for quite some time before replacement. So I'd love to see a holistic plan of it, and maybe I need to dig deeper in the Dixon piece, but I think it's still a question for me.
So I am working on that. I did get some information about collections, about the coin collections from both the meters and the kiosks from our team, but the new equipment is going to change our processes kind of across the board anyway. Right now we have the 717 smart meters, but all of the new equipment will have that functionality that will, where we don't have a smart meter, we have to go out and proactively collect the coin because we don't know how full those meters are. All of the new equipment will have sensors. We'll be able to connect to the back end office and give us information. We'll be able to plan our routes accordingly, even with the meters or the kiosks. So I am getting some of that information for you. I don't have that all together yet.
I understand. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Burke.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with what Councilmember Mumm and Beggs are saying, but I did want to say that no matter what direction we go, Chris, when I lived in Chicago, when they actually sold their public parking to a private parking person, but they kept all of the meters and they put little stickers on them that said, we're keeping these for bike parking. And so no matter what way we go, I just wanted to implant that idea to keep that as infrastructure for bike parking, because it's a really great place to park your bike, and then you don't have to have all these different other bike parking. So anyway, I just thought that was a kind of a unique idea in Chicago.
Thank you.
Yep, it's a great point, Councilmember Burke, because you can still have those poles there with the meter space number for people who do that. You can have the hoods for people who need to do business work, bike parking. And I know we've been having this argument for well over a year, but since we're talking about it, the idea is not for people to walk down the block to do kiosks. It's to pay on their phone. And what the data from the cities that our consultant sent us to said, it's much more efficient. You collect more money. It works better. It's way less labor costs. That's what the cities that the consultant sent us to said. And so this is a huge multi-million-dollar investment that sets us up in a direction for a long way to go. And I just don't think it's there. We did extend with Duncan previously. I don't know whether that's possible or not, especially, how motivated we are when we're talking to them about that. But I just think this is not done yet. If we don't have the data and the business plan that Councilmember Mumm are talking about at this point, after all these years, that is challenging. And I don't know what the votes will come down to, but I feel strongly about it.
We can't extend with Duncan. That isn't an option for us.
Yeah, well, that, again, is a reflection of how we got here. Yes. Councilmember Stratton.
So, Chris, I just want to, two things. I just want to thank Chris because this has been, in all honesty, a total nightmare. This has been a headache trying to get all the information we need to make the best decision possible for people. So I want to thank you. I also want to say at some point, or for me personally, I've got to trust the staff that's done the research, that's done outreach, and that has looked at numbers, is bringing us the best information that we can get to make those decisions. But I also am concerned because this has been going on for so long trying to make these decisions. Isn't there a deadline that we have to have these ordered by in order to move forward with this because of what's available?
Yeah, we're coming right up on it. The installation is going to take 8 to 12 weeks. And so getting these contracts in front of council is really important. We have, if they're passed on the 2nd and we can get our order in, or we have about 3 weeks of cushion before the Duggan contract expires in December. One other aspect of this is we do not have our LPR equipment yet. We are still struggling to find the new vehicles, and the LPR is a critical element of enforcement when utilizing the kiosks. And I haven't had an update on vehicles in a week or two. So, and we know that the LPR equipment is also, last time we checked, was 8 to 12 weeks out. So once we got a delivery date on the new vehicles, we would be able to schedule the ordering the LPR equipment and getting that installation made as well. So.
Okay. Mr. Ormsby, the next matter related, but
Okay.
I won't comment on it because it's all the same thing, but go ahead.
The next item is a proposed contract between Spokane Community Court and VOA Hope House or respite bed program. And I don't, Seth Heckenberg, are you the phone call? Okay, apparently Seth is not here. I do know something about this. About 3 months ago, the council approved a pilot program to provide respite, homeless sheltering for transition. And the vendor, Catholic Charities, on that respite contract did not have, had female beds available then, but then did not have them available anymore. So Community Court has worked with Hope House, and they do have the bed available. And as the council recalls, this is a pilot program to see if we can transition more effectively with people that are preparing to move on, and they need a place to stay for, sometimes it's only a day, but it may be as long as a week. And this program is set up to hopefully provide that transition. So this recommendation, we then would have both male and female beds available, and that makes the pilot more effective. So the recommendation would be to approve this. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them or talk with Seth or Howard Delaney, the court administrator, and get additional information.
Mike, we're not seeing that on our actual advance agenda for the August 2nd. So I totally understand the program and support it, but I'm not seeing it as an item. So.
Okay, because I've got it here on mine. So item 4 was the meter contract. Item 5 was the kiosk contract.
Yep.
And then item 6 is the contract between Community Court.
Yeah.
So maybe I've got the wrong draft of the advanced agenda.
On ours, it says item 6 is interlocal agreement for emergency management services with Spokane County.
Hey, Mike, that was my fault. I added it last minute.
Okay. I'm sorry. So Sarah is here, and Sarah Ness is our emergency management person, and she's here to present this item.
Thank you, Council, for having me, and thanks, Mike. So this is, as you guys have seen at Public Safety Committee, contract for ILA services from County Emergency Management. It's a re-engagement in the contract that we were in previous to 2020 and part of 2019. It's a bit more expanded, but it would be for services through the end of this year, prorated, starting in August, and then it would be for next year and through 2023. Thank you.
Okay. So, Council President, I'm a little bit at a loss. Is item 7 the VOA contract?
No, the VOA contract's not on it. Oh, sorry. No, the VOA contract is not on this draft of the agenda. Number 7 is report of the mayor of pending claims and payroll, and then number 8 is city council minutes, placeholders for all of those things.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, I'll find out what happened with the VOA one. So, item 7 is the report of the mayor on claims and payments. Is 7A and 7B are payroll claims through it'll be through last Friday, and the amounts and dates will be filled in before the final agenda. And then item 8 is city council meeting minutes, and that blank will be filled in prior to next week's meeting. Then we go to the legislative agenda under special budget ordinances. The first one deals with the Asset Management Capital Fund, and Michelle Hughes, our accounting director, is here to present this item.
Good afternoon, Council. Stated in the documents that you have before you, this is just simply a house cleaning item. These funds were approved by a SIP loan with Resolution 2020-0075 back in 2020. The budget was authorized back then with a special budget ordinance and was missed in the carryover. So this is, again, just establishing budget in the current year in order to keep moving forward with the relocation of engineering services and paying that contract. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Then we move into resolutions, and there's one proposed resolution, and it's put forward by Councilmember Kinnear, and it establishes a list of city-sponsored development incentives. So, Councilwoman Kinnear.
Thank you. I've been working on this with Jacoby, with Melissa Morrison, for months now. Brian McClatchy, I presented to the Housing Subcommittee, presented to a number of other people. I presented to realtors. And so this is a culmination of a lot of work. These are all things, with 2 exceptions, that the city has done before. And what I did do was make sure that these incentives were targeted at centers and corridors. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's not something that's going to magically solve our housing crisis by any means, but it's one tool that builders, developers, homeowners can use to help us move forward. Those items were very popular prior when we tried them and used them, and we simply did not refund some of those. They, especially the citywide significance, projects of citywide significance, the M building, which was formerly Macy's, benefited by that. And some of what we're looking at are things that are going to be easy to do. Some of them are going to be a little bit more difficult. The placeholder on this, if you notice, is using ARP funding. And we may decide further on down that we'll fund these in other ways as we did before. It is a resolution. So if we want to hold these items off and actually fund them, then we'll have to do it by ordinance. So I'd be glad to answer questions. As I said, this is a resolution. It's not everything. It's not the whole kitchen sink that we could do, but it's a good start for us. Alrighty then. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And the final reading ordinances are items that the council has had presented to them before. Our Fire Marshal Lance Dahl is here if the council has any additional questions or comments, and those would be presented hopefully for final approval at next Monday's meeting. saw Lance is here if you have any questions.
I do have a couple clarifications. There is no change on ordinance C36089, Fire Code 17F.080. There were two minor changes on the urban interface ordinance C36088. And I apologize. When we put this together, there were a couple things that I just missed. 101.1 title, we missed 6 words out of the model code, hereinafter referred to as this code. And then since this is the first time I've been involved in adopting a new code to the municipal code, I did miss 2 little sections on enforcement agency and on violation penalties. So 103.1, creation of an enforcement agency, that will be the building official and the fire code official. There are parts of this code that touch on both the building code and the fire code. So we'll be dual code officials as far as administering this code. And then there's a standard clause for all the building codes and fire codes on violation penalties. So that's 110.4.7. And we added that standard comment in there and included our Class 1 civil infraction system. I apologize that I missed that the first time around.
Councilmember Mumm. You're muted.
Have we accepted the new version? Do we need to move to accept?
It's in the packet, so we don't have to.
We should have a motion.
No, we
Okay.
should.
Yeah.
Nope.
And my other
Sorry.
question-
Have a motion.
I got a contrary opinion and a more accurate one from Madam Clerk. We should have a motion to adopt the substitute version.
Right.
Move to substitute the changes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
So here's my discussion.
Oh,
I have discussion.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we're doing Title 17 changes here. Has it gone through the full Title 17 process with the Plan Commission?
The Plan Commission, as far as what I know, as far as what I'm required as a fire code official, is just to brief them. They're getting briefed on Wednesday.
Okay, so that should be done. Do they have to recommend?
Most of my stuff comes through the Public Safety Committee as the fire code official, so you have me on that one.
Okay, I'll defer to Mr. McClatchy and Mr. Armsby on our requirements of making any changes to Title 17.
And Councilwoman Mumm, I'll have to look at that. That's a good point, and I don't know exactly what's expected for the fire code official, so we'll check on that and get back to you.
There is some confusion a little bit at the state level also, in that the Wildland Urban Interface Code is actually under the state fire code. I know they are in the process of trying to move it under its own code section, but that hasn't been completed yet. So I would defer to legal on whether the Planning Commission needs just to be notified of the change, or if they have to be involved with the adoption.
All right, well, it sounds like they're probably going to have to make a recommendation, but we can still substitute, so we'll have that piece done, and then we'll wait to hear back from legal about whether we have to wait to adopt it. So all those in favor of the substitution indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, it's substituted. Also, while I got the microphone, we did find out, Mr. Ormsby, that the contract with VOA was in the on base, but somehow never made it out onto the agenda, and it's set, or it's noted for August 2nd, and we'll just update that agenda at briefing next Monday. So if you can have Seth be there for that, we'll get that, so we can still get the vote in.
Okay? Will do. I'll get back to the council on the question about Chapter 17, hopefully tomorrow. And that, council, would conclude the presentation of the agenda, the advanced agenda for the meeting next week.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the advanced agenda for August 2nd?
So moved.
I heard a second in there. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of adopting the advanced agenda indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's adopted. Turning to tonight's agenda, we do have several things, and also just a note to people that we do have an executive session to talk about actual and potential litigation afterwards. We're not going to take any action after the executive session, but just so people know. I am... So it looks like we briefed at committee today the resolution in favor of the Catholic Charities application to the Department of Commerce for some low-income housing, transitional housing. And so to do that, we'd have to add that to the agenda. Is there a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of adjusting the agenda?
So moved to suspend the rules.
Second.
Yeah, I didn't see you listening in on the briefing today.
Lance, you're talking to all of us.
Oh.
So. Any discussion about suspending the rules to amend the agenda? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to suspend the rules indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Nay? Any abstentions? All right, the rules are suspended for purposes of adjusting the agenda. Madam Clerk, do you have the resolution number for the...
2021-66.
Okay, 2021-66. Is there a motion to add that to tonight's legislative agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion about adding that resolution to tonight's agenda?
Councilmember Clarity, again, are we doing the support for the grant or the other one?
I don't have it right in
Where
front
are
of
you?
me. Just a moment.
66 is the support for the grant.
So this resolution supports the grant and resolves that the city will provide matching funding, but it does not commit to providing operating funding, as I read it.
Okay.
Any
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Again, just adding it to the agenda. All right, hearing none, all those in favor of adding Resolution 66 to tonight's legislative agenda indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's added. Next, in regards to Ordinance 36082, which is amending the policy framework for city's homeless response system, essentially requiring the collection and dissemination of data and some other things. There was a new version of that has been circulated to council, and I'm looking for a motion to substitute that version for the one that's currently published.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion about the substitution? Hearing none, all those in favor of substituting indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, that's substituted. And similar to in Resolution 62, which is adopting the City of Spokane Housing Action Plan, we had previously filed an attachment, an implementation plan, and there have been several drafts of that since we've originally filed it. I circulated a draft this afternoon, and I'm looking for a motion to substitute that draft for the one that's published currently.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of substituting that new draft indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, that is substituted.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, is there, I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity to discuss the resolution a little bit. I guess I have just a process question perhaps in terms of what the goal or plan is. So Section 3 of the Housing Action, or of the amendment says, that we're going to follow the Plan Commission process. And so what I'm wondering is, does that mean it would be any sort of an expedited process that we would try to work through?
Mm-hmm.
Or would this be sort of a typical, could be, months, if not year-long process that we'd be working through with the Plan Commission?
Sure, great question. I did reach out to the chair and the vice chair of the Plan Commission yesterday and asked them if they were willing to work rapidly on it, and they said they were, and very interested. They said they would need some plan staff assistance to do that. They thought that was the biggest objection. I met with the mayor today, and she said she would provide that staff and was committed to it. So it doesn't, in the terms of it, it doesn't use expedited, and I'm not sure if that's really a term of art or not, but it sounds like that's there. And I also spoke with Mr. McClatchy, who indicated that this implementation plan is essentially a roadmap, and it's not operational in itself. And so he's going to begin to work on ordinances that would actually be there that would be presented to the Plan Commission in that vein. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, but it sounds like everybody's willing and motivated to work promptly on it, as opposed to just kind of, it's the annual review type of thing. That's the best information that I have.
And I guess my concern is, and we can talk more about it tonight, and I just may bring forward an amendment this evening. I'm still working through it, but it's just in terms of addressing the urgency. The newest draft reduces the allowable within our current single family to a duplex instead of up to a fourplex, and it lists a bunch of requirements, or it adds requirements for design standards. And so, just trying to figure out, one, how long is it going to take to even make that change to the duplex? Let alone, will we actually see some results coming from just simply allowing duplexes instead of up to fourplexes in? So anyway, I may bring an amendment forward just to address my concerns on that, but I just wanted to see what the plan was for the Plan Commission side of it.
And I will go to Councilmember Mumm in just one second, but I just also want to remind you that there was also a pilot project for the triplex and the fourplexes in there, and I think we probably need to hear a little more from staff about how fast that could be, and maybe that can get done before we vote on it. But Councilmember Mumm.
Yeah, I just want to weigh in maybe specifically on that. The consistency with the comp plan is critical, because some of the ideas that have been bandied about take a lot longer to work through the process, because you have to change the comp plan itself, as you understand, in order for it to be consistent. So when I took a look at the document, I went through and matched up what those design guidelines were and that sort of thing that's already in the comp plan, so people are aware that we have this guidance that we have to follow. So I really like the document because it was put together in a timeline of things that we can actually accomplish. So I would just encourage you, if you are going to bring an amendment, make sure it is consistent with the comp plan, otherwise we won't be able to do it.
And just to clarify, there's room for amendments tonight too and discussion. And I just wanted to appreciate everyone who reached out with comments and suggestions, both staff and council members and the mayor's office as well. So I tried to incorporate as many of them as I could. Some of them were inconsistent with each other, so it was impossible to incorporate all of them. But Councilmember Stratton.
Just a question. So if I read this correctly, the mayor has declared an emergency, a housing emergency. Does that change the way that we look at this? I mean, is there anything in there that allows us to move some of this forward faster?
I spoke with the mayor last week, and she was intending to declare a symbolic emergency, not an actual emergency. So my understanding, I haven't reviewed what Mr. Coddington sent out, but my understanding last year, it was just a statement, and they weren't changing planning rules or contract rules or anything like that. And the list she shared with me of things that she was intending to do are essentially responsive to what's in our document. I think she just wanted to get out in front of us acting on it, and I think a lot of her things are consistent, and in our plan, we say there are certain things only the mayor can do and she should do, and she's doing them. So I commend her from doing it. But I don't think there's a legal significance to her statement today. It's my understanding from listening to her staff last week. But that's a great question. I had the same question. Other questions about the motion to substitute? Okay, then let's have a vote on that. All those in favor of substituting the latest version indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's substituted. All right, we have one other piece that I'm wrestling with. We have the signatures for the initiative on clean energy protection, and the deadline is to advance that by resolution to the ballot by next Monday. But we also are supposed to do some type of resolution appointing people to write the pro and con, which we haven't done. I'm wondering if, Mr. McClatchy, if you can talk to us a little bit about that and whether or not we need to wait a week to finish that up.
Hello. So every time we have ballot measures that go onto our municipal, and Mike Ormsby actually may know, and Mike Piccolo actually should probably know more about this because they've been down, Mr. Piccolo anyway, has seen many of these initiatives more than I have. But when we place initiatives on the ballot for city voters, we have a requirement to appoint a pro and con committees to draft pro and con statements for the ballot measure. Maybe Mr. Piccolo can talk a little bit more about the need to have those acted on at the same time as the initiative is placed on the ballot.
Sure. There is no requirement to act on these at the same time. Typically, the resolution calling for the election date is done in order, consistent with the council's previous action. So it's a process, a series of events, and the next step is to pass the resolution asking the county auditor to place this on the November ballot. Separate from that is the process to appoint the pro-con committees to write the pro-con statements, which will go into the voter pamphlet. Previously, the city council had its own standalone SMC code section that was adopted a number of years ago. And then just recently, the state legislature, I think in this last session, passed a state statute that also requires cities and counties to put together pro-con statements. I think the two procedures are very, very consistent, so we can make sure that we do meet both requirements. So that's a separate step to pass the resolution appointing the pro-con committees. I think typically the council would do some public outreach to let people know we're looking for people to volunteer to serve on these committees to write the pro-con statements.
So, Council President, I'm happy to work with Mr. Piccolo to make sure that that resolution is teed up for council action at the appropriate time, and
All right.
also would be happy to help with any outreach that we need to do to get the appropriate folks on the pro-con committees.
All right. Well, that answers my question. I think we should vote on this tonight, but I see Mr. Cathcart. Councilmember Cathcart, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Presumably, though, the pro committee would go to the person who filed the initiative, correct? Or they would at least get first crack at identifying who would make up that committee. Is that correct?
Well, the committee includes, I think, at least 3 members, and the SMC provides that the sponsor of the initiative is guaranteed a spot on the committee. So the sponsor of the initiative is automatically on the committee with, I think, 2 other people who are
so council identifies the other 2 members of that committee then?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Piccolo, as always, for helping us understand how to do this. All right. I don't think there are any other changes. Councilmember Stratton.
I believe we have to deal with the COPS funding, OPR 2020-0306, under the consent items. Do I do that now?
Well, I thought the current contract matches what the COPS board approved, and so you weren't going to ask for a change. Was that?
But we have to substitute it. Brian, help me out. We have to substitute it because it's different than what we passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that correct, Brian?
He's okay. Got it. I was misinformed on that. Go ahead and bring your motion to substitute.
So just to explain to everybody, as you all know, under the direction of the CFO, last week we passed this agreement with the COPS and the Spokane Police Department that funding would be made available to cover salaries for the COPS, the community-oriented policing. Brian, I just forgot the outreach folks, the
victim advocates.
Yes, the 2 victim
advocates.
We passed that on the 19th, and midweek last week I got a call from SPD. Unfortunately, Chief Meidel was not aware that this had been changed to the funding would come from public safety funds, and he asked to slow this down because he wasn't aware of how that was gonna work. So what they're willing to do, and this goes back to the contract, is that they will fund the first year, the end of this year, which is the 56,250, that will be funded through 2021. And then in section 4, it should say that the COPS contract, we would strike shall and replace it with may. So that means that they may fund 22 and 2023, but that is not that's not a given at this point. Council can talk about getting the additional dollars in the budget for next year, but that will be a discussion that is going to be ongoing to find the dollars for those 2 positions. We called a meeting of the COPS board last week, explained all this to the board, and they voted to accept that, to take the funding for 2021, and then look and see what happens for 2022, 2023. And so that's where we're at. So I'm making that amendment in this contract that will simply cover it definitely for 2021, and then the 135 and the 67.5 for the next 2 years may be covered by those public safety funds and may not, but that's going to be a discussion that continues. Did I confuse everybody?
No, that was straightforward. Thank you. So that's the motion to.
Sorry for the confusion.
Motion to amend the contract that's currently posted. Is there a second?
Mr. McClatchy has his hand up, Council President.
All right. Thank you. Mr. McClatchy.
I'll second for discussion.
That version of the contract is the one that's in your packet. I apologize for any confusion, but when I looked back at the packet, that one signed by Patrick Stryker of the COPS board contains the language. So I don't believe you need a motion to substitute.
Oh, so it's
Or amend, sorry.
That was put in there.
Yeah.
I just looked.
So I was not uninformed. But I'm glad you gave the explanation, Councilmember Stratton, because that was really important for people to understand that. So, all right. So we don't need to do that, but I am informed.
You do.
Or we do.
The previous version of the contract that the council had was the old one. The new contract that Councilmember Stratton is referring to was placed in the council packets, and it was the revised version that we received over the weekend.
All right.
And so I believe we do need a motion.
All right, I'm back to being uninformed. And so the motion is to substitute the version that was in the council packet and was just described by Ms. Stratton. And that was there was a motion and there was a second for discussion purposes. Is there any other discussion about it? All right, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of substitution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, there's one more. We got a briefing today at PIES on emergency ordinance to update the ability of certain city officials to write civil infractions. It's ordinance C36091, and looking for a motion to put that on tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's on the agenda. And that gets us to the consent agenda, and we're almost ready to go to executive session. Although,
Reports, contracts, and claims. Low bid of La Riviera Incorporated, Rathdrum, Idaho, for the Cochrane Basin Conveyance Downriver Golf Course, $1,264,676. An administrative reserve of $126,467.60, which is 10% of the contract price, will be set aside. Number 2, acceptance of an $889,125 grant award from the Office of Homeless Youth and permission for CHHS to subgrant funds to SNAP and VOA for the period of July 1, 2021 through December 21, 2021. An RFP will be conducted for the remaining funding for January 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. Number 3, contract amendment extension with KPFF Consulting Engineers, Seattle, Washington, for Phase 2 of the Fish Lake Trail Connection Study, including additional city funds to cover cost of evaluating a fifth trail alignment, $82,355. Total contract amount, $266,206. Number 4, acceptance of grant award through FEMA Homeland Security Grant ID EMW-2020-FG-15438, $82,940.29 with a 10% match from the local funds. Relates to special budget ordinance C36083, which will be considered during the 6 p.m. legislative session. Number 5, memorandum of understanding agreement between Spokane County and City of Spokane to apply and split 2021 fiscal year Edward Byrne Memorial JAG grant, totaling $176,381. Number 6, report of the mayor of pending claims and payments approved, say approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through July 19, 2021. Total $9,439,188.75 with Parks and Library claims approved of the respective boards. Warrants excluding Parks and Library total $8,659,336.64. Item number 7, City Council meeting minutes for July 12, 2021. Number 8, contract amendment with Spokane Community oriented policing services detailing the agreed upon additional services term and cost, $56,250 for 2021, $135,000 for 2022, and $67,500 for 2023. Total additional amount not to exceed $258,750, deferred from July 19, 2021 agenda.
All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Nay? Any abstentions? All right, the consent agenda is adopted as read. That brings us to the end of our business here, except for an executive session. And Mr. Ormsby, you think we can do it in a half an hour?
Yes, in fact, we were thinking more like 20 minutes, but
Excellent.
half an hour would be
Well,
the max.
Let's go to 4:55. And again, the purpose is to discuss litigation and potential litigation. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And again, if you're watching, we're going to go into a different virtual room, and we will come back at 4:55 and either announce that the meeting is over, we won't be taking further action, or we'll extend. So, council members, we'll see you in the next executive session room. Well, in a few days you can. All right, we're ready. Yep, this is Council President Brian Beggs, and we've just finished our executive session, and we're not taking any further action, and we are adjourned.
WebEx. Visit our web